is an OU update. I'm Jenni Carlson here with OU beat writer Ryan Aber. Ryan, we sit here on the verge of the NFL draft. It starts Thursday night, 7 o'clock start for those of you that want to watch on TV, and I know a lot of you will because a lot of Sooners potentially going first round. It looks like Kyler Murray, Cody Ford, and Marquise Brown are likely to all be taken in the first round. Kyler Murray is the talk of this draft, Ryan. He was before he decided football. He has been since he decided to play football. What's the latest on his stock and where he is likely to end up on draft night?
Well, for most of the last 2 months, the buzz has been around that number one pick with the Arizona Cardinals. That the Cardinals with Cliff Kingsbury, who have a long relationship with Kyler Murray, would take the quarterback because he fits into what Kingsbury wants to do. He's very comfortable together. They did pick Josh Rosen a year ago, but there've been talk of trading him. Now, over the last couple of weeks, that talk has sort of moved away a little bit toward the potential for maybe the Cardinals trading that pick to somebody else to pick Kyler Murray, but it still looks like there's a really good chance that Kyler Murray is the number one overall pick. The question is just which team is he going to be picked by?
That who the other team could be is a big question. I mean, it looks like there's a couple of potential suitors. You know, Giants have been looking pretty hard at him, looks like Raiders have been looking pretty hard at him. Do you get a sense of if it's not the Cardinals at 1, who else is at 1?
Well, if it's not the Cardinals at 1, it looks like it's very likely to be the Oakland Raiders. Now, there's been some draft dysfunction with them over the last couple of weeks, with them reportedly sending their scouts home and really shrinking down the team of people who are going to make this decision. But Oakland has been connected with Kyler Murray quite a bit. They won't be the Oakland Raiders for very long. They're going to move to Vegas, but maybe they want to splash there as they get ready for that move. But I think the more likely pick is the Arizona Cardinals deciding to move on from Josh Rosen, trade him for some draft picks down the road, and take Kyler Murray to fit into that offense.
It seems like with Kyler Murray, Ryan, there's been sort of ongoing question marks about him. Is he big enough? Divided loyalties between sports, leadership questions, how he answered things at the combine. I mean, this is kind of the smokescreen season too, because you've got teams that are throwing out stuff. You don't really know what's real. You don't really know what's fake. But it seems like even with all of the questions, Kyler Murray has staying power at that one spot. It seems like he's weathered all of that.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, obviously the size questions are going to stay with him until he proves in the NFL that he's able to overcome that, just because nobody his size has been successful at that level. But more and more, and this is what I'm writing about for the Oklahoman for Thursday's paper, more and more NFL teams are getting much more comfortable with shorter quarterbacks. We've seen it with Russell Wilson. We've seen it with Baker Mayfield. Neither of them are as short as Kyler Murray. And I think you talk about the leadership questions. I think that's visual as much as anything else, what you see on the field. But talking to Kyler Murray's coaches, his teammates, and even Jim Zorn, who we quoted today, once you're around him a little bit more, you start to see that leadership style come out. And I think that's why these interviews have been really important for him, to show that a little bit more than just what you see, watching from afar.
All right, let's talk about these other two guys that are probable first-round guys, that being Marquise Brown and Cody Ford. Which of the two do you think comes off the board first, Ryan?
Well, I think Cody Ford is a safer bet. He's a much more highly thought-of guy right now and a much more known commodity. He has versatility, can play either inside or outside. Obviously played inside at times at OU, and then moved out to tackle last year when they needed him to, performed really well, can play both of those positions at the next level. So I think that he's the safer choice. Marquise Brown, though, I could see somebody jumping up and really getting enamored with him and taking him a little bit earlier than maybe we expect. I think he's a guy who has a pretty wide window, from middle of the first round till probably middle of the second round. Just because of the injury, that they haven't seen him in workouts and do the things since that foot injury that he suffered in the Big 12 championship game. But he really gritted it out to play in the Orange Bowl against Alabama. Didn't play very well, but just the fact that he was on the field, I think, says a lot to teams. The blazing speed that he has, the way he's been able to transition his game from just a pure burner to being able to catch in traffic and things. I think he's going to find a role in the NFL as more of a slot guy. and somebody is going to fall in love with this guy. The question is just where's that going to be? Yeah. It could be as high as like 15 with the Washington Redskins. It could be late in the first round, early in the second round, but somebody that really likes Marquise Brown is going to pick him.
It sounds like Cody Ford's name might be linked a little bit to the Minnesota Vikings. They obviously have Kirk Cousins, and they gave him a big deal, but they struggled last year. Is that a strong possibility, or do you see some other teams that have shown some interest in Ford?
Well, I think there's two teams in that division that you really look for, and that's the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers, both needing offensive linemen who can play both those spots, needing guards and tackles, needing people to protect those quarterbacks that they've invested so much money in. So I would say there's a good bet that he winds up in that division. There have been a couple other teams that have been mentioned with him. One, if he would slip down all the way into early in the second round, I've seen the Arizona Cardinals as a possibility, which would be really interesting, especially if they pick Kyler Murray number 1. Also, the Seattle Seahawks have been an interesting possibility. But if I'm betting, I'm going with either the Minnesota Vikings or the Green Bay Packers.
Hope Cody Ford likes it cold, because both of those teams play out in that cold up north.
Well, at least Minnesota has the dome now. But.
Yeah. But you got to live there. You can't live in the dome, I don't think. Okay, lastly, Ryan, big picture. It looks like there's a really good possibility 3 Sooners in the first round, all on the offensive side. I know obviously that says, well, there's not many good defensive players potentially at Oklahoma, but there is this, a year ago you saw Baker Mayfield go one. Now a chance to have the second year of the first pick plus 2 more guys. I mean, this big picture, this is kind of infomercial for the Sooner offense right now.
Oh, yeah, Sooner offense and Sooner offensive line with Bill Bedenbaugh with the potential of 4 offensive linemen going in this draft. Obviously, the other 3 not likely to be first round or won't be first round picks. But yes, this is a big infomercial for Lincoln Riley's offense, and we keep seeing it. We saw it with Baker Mayfield a year ago. We've seen it on and on and on. Powerful offensive weapons want to play in this system, whether it's a quarterback, where we've seen back-to-back Heisman Trophy winners, running back, where they've obviously been able to take advantage of depth and put guys in the league. Recently with Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon, more long-term, even before Lincoln Riley with DeMarco Murray, Adrian Peterson, and on and on and on. And on the offensive line, where they have, all kinds of success in the NFL with Lane Johnson and Trent Williams especially, have these 4 guys. So yes, this is all about Oklahoma's offense. Doesn't say much for their defense. Could be the first time since 1995 that no Oklahoma defensive players have been picked in the draft. Only the second time since 1969 it would be. There's a couple possibilities late with Amani Bledsoe especially. I think he's the more likely defensive player to get drafted. Potentially Curtis Bolton, although I think he's more of a free agent type of guy. So that's going to be really interesting to watch as well.
Yeah. Definitely. Paging Alex Grinch. They need your help down in Norman. We'll leave that topic for another day. Lots of NFL draft to come. Again, starts Thursday night with the first round at 7 o'clock. Then Friday and Saturday, the final rounds, second and third round on Friday. The rest of the rounds on Saturday will go lickety-split on Saturday. But lots of stuff to cover. We'll be there to have it all for you. So be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com. Every day in the Oklahoman.